Hi everyone, I'm Tara and this is my husband Jace. We just returned from a family trip to Orlando where we did the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party for 2023. We just wanted to give you our top tips. Just for a bit of background, we're a family of 4. We have 2 children, Warren and Zara, who are aged 6 and 5. So these tips are very much from that perspective. Tip number 1 is about the entrance to the park. So if you have a day ticket, you can skip the long queue for the Halloween party, either by arriving obviously early in the day and then spend the whole day and then just sort of transition into the Halloween party, or even if the Halloween party's starting, so around 4 o'clock when we arrived, there was a huge queue already and we didn't need to stand in it. We went in a separate entrance and then you can get your wristbands in a separate bit of the park, which we'll talk about in a minute. If you don't have a day ticket for the park, I believe the gate opened at 4 when we were there. The people were queuing from about, I think, 2 o'clock in the afternoon to actually enter at 4. Personally, I wouldn't have done that because it's really hot and sunny when we were there and there wasn't much shade. So you are sitting in the sun. If that's something you're prepared to do, that's fair enough. I did hear that the queue pretty much disappeared at around 5 o'clock. So you could enter at 5, which to be honest is kind of when all the Halloween stuff sort of started kicking off more anyway. So I don't really think you'd have been missing much by losing that hour, but obviously it's entirely up to you.
So, as Tara said about, we're going to now lead on to the wristbands. Now, I think they're quite what we say, they're a little bit of a festival band.
Yeah,
so I
think they look like the sort you get at a festival.
And as you can see, they've got a really tight plastic band there. Now we found, for adults, and they're fine really, aren't they? You can put them on.
Yeah, they're comfy.
They don't get, but our children like to fiddle, and at one point, bless him, our 6-year-old tightened it right up, and we had to try and get it removed. Now, they will give, they did give us another one that was absolutely fine, but I think in hindsight, I would have tried to ask maybe to put them both on my wrist, because they're always going to be with us. But they do check, so I don't know if that would be suitable to you, maybe?
I think it'd probably be all right, but I just think it's one of those things to be aware of. If you have children or a neurodivergent person is part of your party who is not going to be able to leave it alone, just keep an eye on them, because if we haven't been watching, his hand may well have been a different colour by the time we caught it, but who knows. So
that was getting quite very, very tight.
So that kind of leads us on to our next tip, which is planning. So we are planners anyway, so this works quite well for us, but I would say because this is an event that you probably won't go to every year unless you're very lucky, you need to plan out what your priorities are. I'm going to put a map up in a second so you can see how it looked last year. It might help you prioritise and figure out what you want to do, how you're going to move through the park. Essentially, I would say the queues for the characters, so as part of the party they have special characters, special merchandise, special snacks, special ride overlays and photos, the special photos. I couldn't think of the
There's lots of photo ops in there.
So you need to figure out what you're going to prioritise. I personally don't think it's possible to get every single thing done. There's also trick-or-treating as part of the party, which was brilliant. I would say the queues for the special characters are incredibly long. So if that's something you want, if you want that photo with Jack and Sally, for example, that queue gets up to about 3 hours long,
at the very least,
if not more. So if you want that photo and you're going to be disappointed without it, head straight there, get in that queue. The ride overlays, although the rides are great and special, it's really nice, but you don't need to panic about those because the queues are naturally shorter because it's a restricted event. So there's less people in the park. They're not such long queues as they would be usually. You can't use Genie Plus at the party, but we didn't need to. So it's just about kind of, I'll put the map up, like I say, have a little look around, see which things you think you're going to prioritise. That will really help you when you get in the park, because it's such a special atmosphere. It's quite easy to get overwhelmed and then just sit there for an hour.
So the next tip we're going to come on to is the parade. Now, when we watched it from in front of the castle on Main Street, although at the time we thought maybe this was a good idea because you also watched the Sanderson Sisters show.
Yeah.
It just seemed to take quite a while because, as you know, the Headless Horseman will come out first if the ground is dry. That's a big no. If the ground is wet, he's a no-show. They won't bring him out. But then there was about, must have been 10-15 minutes then, wasn't it, until he came out?
Yeah, it was quite long.
Between that and then the main parade.
And I hadn't realised that.
No, we hadn't. We were sort of, we're like, oh, when's it coming?
Yeah, have I missed the parade?
So then, but what we eventually learned, and this is a top tip, is it comes out near Adventureland. So if you want to get the parade done, get yourself a spot over there. Headless Horseman comes out. That's still a 10-15 minute wait, but at least the parade then comes out, and then you get it done, carry on with your evening, whatever you want to do, get on. Otherwise, it is just a horrendously long wait.
Yeah. So number 6 is, number 5. I'm skipping ahead of myself here. Number 5 is costumes. So I know you regret not dressing up at the party. You wish you'd done something.
Yeah, I assumed it was just going to be really hot. I think a couple of other people have said, you know, if you wear a full-size costume, it is going to be. But because, as Dara said, it maybe it's the only thing you might do once. I wish I would have just dressed up, been a bit hot, got the pictures, done.
I think I would choose a lighter costume. I probably wouldn't go in full, I don't know, a big furry, I don't know, Sully costume, for example. Yeah. But the children chose some outfits to wear, didn't they? So they were dressed up for the party. Our daughter, in fact, had 2 with her. I just wore a sort of Halloween t-shirt. I actually got it from Tesco the year before in the sale. It was really cheap and it just had like a Mickey head on it. It was really cute and it came with some matching ears. I was happy wearing that. I felt like part of the party vibe enough in that. And not everyone was dressed up, but a lot of people really went to town and looked incredible, and it was just so part of the party atmosphere. Yeah. And I feel like if we went again in hindsight, maybe we'd even do family costumes.
Yeah, I absolutely don't feel like you're going to be left out, because I thought, oh, maybe that'd be 50-50, but I reckon I was in the minority not dressed up.
Oh,
so
yeah.
absolutely, like Tara said, go to town if you're going to do it.
It was so cool.
You know, do it properly.
And they do give out little badges, I think, for like what they think is the best dress. The cast members can give out little prizes, but obviously there's some stiff competition.
Oh, very much, yeah.
You know, maybe don't hold your breath for one of those, but still really cool and fun thing.
Like you say, it's just nice to be part of the atmosphere of the party. That's great.
Totally.
So that next brings us on to another event, which is the trick or treating. Now, the park officially closes at 6, so before 6 o'clock you won't see the trails come up, and then after that point you'll start to see the inflatable big
marker
points. Yeah, they start inflating them, and as Tara previously mentioned, on the map that will have all the little locations. So we tried to form like a little trail all the way around the park, and yeah, it's great. You get loads of sweets. We have got a picture somewhere. If we can find it, we'll insert it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't hold back. They got scoops. I mean, at one point Zara fell asleep. We had her in the pushchair, and they still filled her little bag for her, so she didn't miss out. Yeah. And that was like overflowing. But yeah, you'll get your money's worth, is what I would say.
And ours really enjoyed the trick or treating. It was actually their favourite part of the event. Yeah,
you haven't. You know, it isn't like you can go once round and that's your lot. You can go around as many times as you want. You know, they don't mind. You can have as much as you can carry. So we had a lot of additional rucksack with us, which if we had anything, we just put it in there. But yeah, that's probably our children's favourite bit of the whole party, wasn't it? The trick or treat, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
And also a tip for anyone who's got allergies, they give you, I think they're little teal tokens at each stop. So you put them in a little bag which they give you, and then there's a separate location which will tell you where that is, and then you can exchange them for allergy-friendly treats there. From what we've heard, I mean, we can only say what we've heard because we didn't go, but they're really good quality. You get your money's worth there as well.
Yeah, I've seen people post on Facebook who have allergies and they said, oh, it's this brand, you know, my favourite or whatever. So obviously I can't speak to that experience, but just to be aware, if you have an allergy, you get tokens, you can get some sweets. Apparently they're generous as well, but again, I don't know. So the next point is to talk about the show. So as Joyce mentioned, I wanted to see the show with the Sanderson sisters in it. I thought it was going to be really cool and fun. It was a really fun show. In hindsight, I probably didn't get a good enough spot for it though. It's on the stage by the castle. And to have a really good view of it, you need to kind of be there. If you're interested in mostly just hearing the songs, you're not bothered about actually seeing it, you could be almost anywhere in the park because they play the music through the speakers sort of throughout the park. So you could be queuing for a ride and still hear the songs. And I was mostly there for the song at the end, to be quite honest. So in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have panicked over it. It was a really good show, but making the children stand still makes them cranky. So I probably didn't have the best experience of the show. If I'd been on my own, I probably would have prioritised it more and stood by the castle, but you do need to stand there for quite a long time, especially if you're then doing what we did and waiting for the parade to come past. So on reflection, I would have not worried about seeing the show so much.
No.
And then I would have gone to see the parade where it began at Adventureland. But yeah, just to be aware, if you're only wanting to hear the song, you don't actually need to stand in front of the castle.
Next tip, so that now brings us on to the rides. We touched upon it a little bit earlier in the video. So as Tara mentioned, you cannot use Genie Plus because that is not available, but you really don't need it. Most of the rides go down to maybe 15 minutes for most of them. You'll still get probably about 45 minutes on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train because that is still very, very popular,
which
isn't
is
it?
basically like zero for every other ride, isn't it?
Yeah, but most others, I mean, I think we pretty much walked on at most maybe 5-10 minutes if we did have to wait. But yeah, you can really get round them. But I chose the party to do Tron because, as you're all aware, that's a virtual queue. So I got myself all my apps set up, ready to go for 6 o'clock when the party, and then as soon as that came around, I kept refresh. And as soon as, I mean, by 6:01, I got one of the first groups, and I got on. I mean, that was pretty much walk on when I got there. You still got your hour slot, but because there's less people, it's a really good time to get it done. And I quite enjoyed it in the atmosphere in the dark. It was pucker. So I'll do that again.
Yeah, Tron, definitely.
Yeah.
It was a really good tip to use the party. You've paid money.
Yeah.
Why not get on those rides that are more difficult to get on with a normal ticket?
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
So the next point is to just mention that in addition to all the other cool stuff they have during the Halloween party, they also had live music and like discos.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a Disney Junior disco, I believe. Where was that? That was by...
That's by Tomorrowland, so opposite Buzz, I believe.
That's right, I remember now. Children didn't want to go to that at the time, but I kind of regret not taking time to do that. It would have been a cool photo.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the live music. We didn't stop and listen to much of the live music, but the one we did stop and listen to was Rusty Cutlass. They were so fun and engaging. They threw out, we were calling them gold doubloons, little plastic gold coins for the children at the end of their performance, and they're really funny. As the name suggests, they were a kind of pirate themed music group. It was just such a fun atmosphere, and I think that's the biggest thing to say, is that the atmosphere in the park is incredible. Everybody is so happy to be there. There is zero grumpiness. So if it's something you're thinking of doing and you're kind of on the fence, like, is it worth bothering with? I would say if you can afford it, I would definitely sacrifice something else on the holiday to go to that party instead.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, for example, staying at a resort that's on the Skyliner. We talked about that, didn't we? Next time we go, maybe we'll sacrifice that so we could afford the party again. Things like that you could sacrifice. It was a really good party, a totally different atmosphere, totally different experience to what we got in the daytime at Magic Kingdom. So definitely worth going to, especially if you've got any Halloween fans at all in your group.
Yeah. So we've got a little last bonus tip is, as in the day, take your water breaks, still do that during the evening. That is still very, very hot. We went the start of September and it was stifling still. You've still got time to get round, and if you've planned and you prioritise the things you want to get round, make sure you still get them breaks in, because our two little ones did get very hot still, didn't they?
And we had them in pushchairs.
Yeah, and that was still
so they were resting,
getting tired, weren't
they? But it's very hot.
Yeah.
You know, different environment and a lot of overwhelming sort of stimulus. So need a little water break in the air conditioning, makes everybody feel a little bit more human.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that still applies at the party as well.
Yeah.
Particularly if you stop and listen to some live music and end up dancing.
Yeah, no, that's worth the money, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, probably you've got that from what we've said already, but we would do it again. It was absolutely brilliant. Disney, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. If you wanted anything else covered in this video, if you've got any questions or thoughts or comments, please do leave us a comment. We will do our best to answer as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And if you like this video, give us a like and a share.
Yeah. I'll say if there's anything,
maybe even a follow.
I'll say if there's anything you think we can do better, this is our sort of first attempts, isn't it? So yeah,
be kind.
Yeah, be kind. But also let us know if you think we can do something better, and we'll endeavour.
Yeah.
So.
Bye.